So we started getting ideas for Xerath III, sort of almost, after we did Xerath II, there's always sort of ideas floating around, but we didn't start really knuckling down to get all these sort of ideas together. Sort of late 2012, we'd just come back off tour with Testament.
We came home and me and Rich thought this is the point where we really want to kickstart the Xerath III push and aim to get things actually ready for release sort of mid 2013 for Xerath III.
Me and Mike basically got set up with a couple of studios, and what we do is sort of like, write out demos, just flesh them out, send them to each other. Sort of if I got stuck with something, I would send it to him and vice versa.
But then early 2013, that was the point where Owain decided that the band wasn't going to be for him anymore.
Wasn't anything too surprising, to be honest. We kind of saw it happening anyway. So when we got the call, it was sort of disappointment still, but we kind of saw it coming.
So when he left at that point, we kind of put the writing of the material and all the things to do with Xerath III on the back burner whilst we made ourselves a complete lineup again.
So that was a bit of a loss for us. That kind of stopped things in its tracks. Of what me and Mike obviously continued to write, to keep things ticking over. But obviously we had to find a new player, a new guitarist.
That kind of took us through right until sort of summer 2013, quite a long time.
And we auditioned a bunch of people. We got quite a few auditions in, and no one was really cutting the mustard for us. They're all really good players, but just it was more the rhythm playing. All amazing lead players, more the sort of rhythm playing we were looking for was a bit lacking. And eventually, Mike came across a guy called Conor McGouran.
Yeah, it was kind of a strange one. I'd received an email from Mike saying they were looking for a guitar player, and basically at the time I hadn't really heard of Xerath, if I'm being completely honest. But he sent me clips of their material and I was just completely floored by it. And I was actually quite nervous because the musicianship was very high, and I hadn't really... I always wanted to do something like that, but I never really had the opportunity to do it, so it was really great when it came along.
So me, Rich, and Chris, we sort of carried on writing for the third album and pretty much got things in a kind of completed state by autumn 2013, all 14 tracks.
Basically the guys flew me over from Dublin, and basically I had very little time to get my head around the material and record basically all the rhythm tracks and solos and whatnot.
We gave him something like 2 weeks because that's all we had to write, perform and record all 14 solos that he would do for the third album, for Xerath III, which he did fantastically, and he almost did them first take every time.
And then he came over for a second week to our place, and we tracked out all the rhythm again, about another week, so 2 weeks worth of guitars.
Yeah, it was kind of tricky initially because obviously I was replacing, a really good player, and I loved what he did with Xerath II guitar-wise. Again, with this time I just wanted to kind of bring my own style though, and kind of move on from that.
Connor's bringing with him this just scary technical ability, which I'm sure people will hear, but just this musical common sense, which we needed to sort of really focus us for this third album. We needed a guitarist who we could rely on to do the rhythm and the lead in equal proportions, and some pretty demanding material at that.
It's definitely gone for a more direct approach. I mean, there was definitely sort of a conscious decision of thinking that not every song had to be in 1916 or all this kind of thing. It's definitely more of a 4/4. It's definitely the riff, the groove. That's the center point of the album. It was sort of, we all kind of joked about it. It was sort of like trying to make a sort of a heavy version of like Porno Graffiti by Extreme, or or even trying to kind of embrace elements like sex and religion in the past, or even elements of Cowboys from Hell, even stuff that we all grew up on. And it's definitely kind of harking back to that kind of thing.
Every sort of single song and riff and idea is like, has it been done 1,000 times before? Yes, and then we get rid of it, and then we try something else that doesn't, and hopefully we've come up with something that we think sounds quite original.
And as we've always done, we relied on either recording things ourselves or going to friends' studios and calling in favors and things like that to try and keep the costs down. Obviously, we're the same as any band at the moment. We're not blessed with a huge amount of money to sort of throw at recording and things like that.
Chris recorded ours again, just over about sort of 5-6 days. Managed to nail everything.
All the bass was recorded using a Dingle Combustion. No anything on it, just straight into a sound card, no preamp or anything, to then get reamped at the other end with Jacob.
I remember I went to Wizard Sound with Craig Reynolds over in Reading, who did a fantastic job of capturing the drums.
Then I went to record vocals up at a friend's studio in Shrewsbury. Spent about 5 days doing that.
I recorded some piano and things like that with a good friend of mine, Tony Roach. Some soprano vocals in a psychiatric hospital I was working at the time.
And then I went up to London to the Rhythm Studios to record the string quartet, which we used on the album, which was quite a cool, fun experience for us. We'd never done that before, had real sort of strings.
And we sort of slowly started piecing all these sort of different parts that we've recorded together. And I think that took us through sort of to the end of 2013. We finally had these complete songs that we put together for the first time.
It was definitely, when we finished the whole process of recording, we all kind of looked at each other and we went, man, this is something that we're really proud of.
We got to the end of the recording, and all that remained to be done was we needed to send these hundreds of gigs worth of audio stems and audio information over to Jacob Hansen in Jailhouse in Denmark.
Fucking sweet. Beard druff.
For the first time, we had in our hand a mastered version of Xerath III from track 1 to track 14. And we were so proud of what we heard, and Jacob had done a fantastic job, and we all individually were so happy with our performances.
And I'm just really hoping it kind of gets to the right audience, the right people. And I basically personally can't wait to get out on the road with it, and I basically play the hell out of it as much as we can.
I think it is, without a doubt, the best thing the band has ever put out. In terms of songwriting, riffs, arrangement, it's more focused writing, I think.
We've really discovered like our style a lot more. We've really honed in on that since our previous album, and what we try to do each album is make a significant leap forward in terms of the songwriting and performance.
And I think for me personally, it's refreshing to hear that kind of sound, and I think people hopefully will enjoy it.
This latest album is way more to the point, it's way more focused, way more mature, and we're hugely proud of it. It's track 1 to track 14 of all killer, no filler.
We spent such a long time on it, we're really proud of it, and I think we've certainly come up with something special.